Under the Duterte administration, Tokyo transferred 5 DC-90 aircraft in 2018 and signed a deal so that 4 air surveillance radar systems can help improve the country's monitoring system.
The Japanese government strongly expects to strengthen defense cooperation with the Philippines' new administration under the leadership of President Marcos and coming Defense Secretary Faustino in order to achieve a free and open Indo-Pacific based on the rule of law.
Apart from defense cooperation, the Japanese government also eyes to improve ties in other areas such as diplomacy, economy, and culture.
Japan is a top investor for the Philippines, one of the top traders, and the top ODA partners of the Philippines.
Defense Officer in charge Jose Faustino Jr. also reiterates the country's position working closely with Japan.
Through the years, the Philippines has found Japan to be a reliable partner in pursuing regional and global peace, security, and development. That despite the pandemic, our defense and military engagements or activities have continued to flourish.
The Japanese government has also invited President Bongbong Marcos to visit Japan and discuss with Prime Minister Kishida the overall bilateral relations of the two countries. Teresa Nodalo, CNN Philippines.
More headlines when we come back. A decision is out on the appeal of online news Rappler head Maria Ressa and former researcher over their cyber libel conviction. Plus, a new battle is ahead for Manny Pacquiao, who has committed to an exhibition match with an online personality. Details straight ahead.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni Bay. SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni Bay.
Ito ang RPN Radio Philippines Network, DXKT 1071 sa inyong mga radyo, ang Radyo Ronda sa Davao.
You're watching Newsnight 2 days after meeting with the president. Health officials are looking at holding national vaccination days again. The country has yet to vaccinate 77 million people and reach the 70% booster coverage. Health officials say President Marcos has instructed them to double down on meeting target numbers. While Caroline Bonkin explains why redefining fully vaccinated is still on the table.
This mom has accompanied her daughter to get COVID-19 booster on Friday. After battling COVID-19, she wants her family to get up-to-date vaccines.
When I got COVID, bumalik yung asthma ko after 12 years. So it's really hard for me. I don't want them to get sick then, to feel that.
She doesn't mind if government decides to include a booster shot on top of the primary doses to say that a person is fully vaccinated.
Oh yes. COVID is still here eh. Nag-ano pa siya eh. Tawag doon, nag-mutate pa eh.
In a meeting on Wednesday, health officials discussed redefining what being fully vaccinated is with the president. The health spokesperson says consultations and studies are still needed. Giancarlo has no problem if the president approves the proposal.
Okay naman sa akin kasi parang pag ginawa ng requirements ng gobyerno yan, wala na tayong magagawa. Tsaka yung meron din akong lolo, fully vaccinated siya tapos meron siyang first dose, second dose. Okay naman.
But Danilo is not, saying the public shouldn't be obligated to get boosted.
Yun nga po inaano namin, ba't kailangan pa ng booster? Kaya na na-obligate yung mga tao kasi requirement sa trabaho, requirement sa school. Kaya napipilitan na po magpa-booster.
Official data shows 40 million eligible Filipinos remain without booster. More or less 200,000 people are getting vaccinated daily since March.
Kung ganyan lang po ang nakukuha natin per day, hindi natin naabutin ang ating target with our set timelines.
Recent DOH survey shows the top reasons why booster vaccinations have plateaued and didn't even reach 50% in any region. First, low COVID-19 cases in recent months gave many people confidence in just having 2 doses. Second, because booster shot is also not required to get jobs or for local travel.
That's also part of what we are doing right now on how we can be able to address this kind of issues.
She stresses the importance of vaccines in preventing hospitalization as laboratories find more Omicron subvariant BA.5 cases that's more transmissible and likely to cause reinfection. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
In China, the capital Beijing becomes the first city to require people to get vaccinated for COVID-19. Beginning July 11th, individuals will be required to show proof of inoculation to enter libraries, museums, cinemas, gyms, stadiums, and other fitness and leisure venues. Officials say this is to prevent the spread of the newly detected BA.5.2 Omicron subvariant. In the United States, a study finds 1 in 8 patients hospitalized for COVID-19 had weak immune system. This means over 12% of those treated in facilities were immunocompromised. Researchers say the new data suggests a layered approach to prevention, including access to antivirals and vaccination. A sigh of relief for motorists who can finally expect cheaper prices at the pump. The Energy Department says fuel firms will slash prices by up to 6 pesos next week. If implemented, this will be the second highest rollback this year. Energy officials say factors driving oil prices down include the lockdown in Shanghai, China, interest hikes in different countries, and a looming recession. Authorities are stepping up efforts against the unauthorized use of blinkers, or in the vernacular, wang-wang. George Quiles tells us the police are working to file complaints against vehicle owners seen illegally using emergency sirens.
This video posted by Senator J.V. Ejercito has created a buzz on social media, pointing out the abuse in the use of sirens and blinkers to avoid traffic jams.
We have already identified yung tao kung sino po siya. We are just getting all po yung CCTV to see kung makuha po namin conduction stickers po. We already went to yung dealer po ng Rolls-Royce to see who is the owner of that vehicle po.
If they are able to get sufficient pieces of evidence, the police will file a complaint against the owner of the vehicle before the Land Transportation Office. In the Philippines, only police vehicles, ambulances, and fire trucks are allowed to use sirens and blinkers during emergency situations. But it seems that some motorists use this for their own convenience and entitlement on the streets. Based on the PNP Highway Patrol Group's data, they have recorded over 900 violators of the law from November 2021 to June 2022. The PNP HPG reveals violators of the law are not just civilians, but also government agencies that establish their own motorcycle units. Worse, some even underwent training with the HPG.
Ito po na naggaling po sa training namin. And of course, kada they assume that hindi magkabit ng blinkers siren. Pwede lang po magbigay ng escorts ay yung HPG, PSPG po, and PSG po. The rest, hindi po talaga pwede magbigay ng escorts or traffic po.
Republic Act 4136 and Presidential Decree Number 96 penalizes the illegal use of sirens and blinkers. Penalties include payment of fines, suspension or revocation of licenses, and imprisonment. George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
The Court of Appeals upholds a lower court ruling convicting online news group Rappler CEO Maria Ressa and former writer Reynaldo Santos Jr. of cyber libel. The CA denied their appeal against the June 2020 decision of the Manila Regional Trial Court, which stemmed from a 2012 news article about businessman Wilfredo Keng's alleged connection to illegal activities. 8 months and 20 days were added to Ressa and Santos's maximum jail time of 6 years. The two journalists say they will pursue all legal remedies, including bringing the case to the Supreme Court for review. Another online news organization challenging a government order blocking its website, Bulatlat, which had been linked to communist rebels, appeals to the courts. Its constitutional freedom is at stake. Anjo Olimario reports.
Journalism is not terrorism. Journalists from different news organizations show their support for alternative news site Bulatlat and in nullifying the order of the National Telecommunications Commission blocking over 20 websites. Former National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon asked NTC to block selected websites allegedly linked to communist terrorists. He used as basis the Anti-Terrorism Council's resolutions designating CPP and PANDF as terrorists. But today, online news site Bulatlat is taking the fight to the court.
Hayaan nyo yung medyang gawin ang kanyang tungkulin. At hindi dapat ituring na terorismo yung paglalathala ng ibang grupo na taliwas sa narrative ng mga nakaupo sa kapangyarihan.
They argue NTC has no power to block websites without a court order.
Even if it does has the power, and we dispute that it has the power, it's a patent violation of their constitutional rights to freedom of expression, free press, and then free speech, as well as their right to due process under the Philippine Constitution.
The blocking measure, the news organization points out, is nothing but censorship.
If they can get away with this action, then it's a slippery slope. We start with the journalists, and then who's next? That would be human rights organizations, defenders, ordinary activists, ordinary citizens.
The National Union of Journalists of the Philippines warns that if there's no pushback, the same thing can happen again.
There are critical reports, there are people who are, let's say, critical of the government and its policies, pero hindi naman yun pagbangga sa gobyerno necessarily. That doesn't mean na gusto natin bumagsak yung gobyerno.
Bulatlat is seeking a stay order to immediately unblock the access to its website. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
An official from the National Security Council stresses that the National Task Force to End Communism, or NTF-LCAC, will not be abolished. Deputy National Security Advisor designate Romel Banlawi says the NTF-LCAC will continue to exist and be enhanced. He says the Marcos administration appreciates the successes of the Anti-Communist Task Force, but he notes the NTF-LCAC met on Thursday to discuss possible improvements amid criticism and red tagging concerns.
Sabi nga, there are many rooms for improvement, and we are ready to listen to all stakeholders. Ano? Kaya kung may mga observations kayo about the implementation of LCAC, lalong-lalo na kung may mga nakikita kayong abuses arising from the implementation of LCAC, please let the government know that. Naging image ng LCAC ay na-associate siya sa red tagging. Pero ang LCAC po is more than red tagging issue. Napakalita aspeto lang po yan.
A non-government organization led by former Vice President Leni Robredo is studying legal action against a former official of the NTF-LCAC. Robredo's Angat Buhay is crying foul over red tagging attacks made by Lorraine Badoy, former spokesperson of the Anti-Communist Task Force. Badoy claims the people behind Angat Buhay are from the Communist Party's armed wing, the New People's Army. She also says a so-called Leni Youth Group is supposedly recruiting members to the communist movement. Angat Buhay described these claims as utterly baseless and completely false. The group vowed they will not allow efforts against them to prosper, saying the time to stand up to fake news is now. In other news, 2 people are dead after an elevator collapsed at a building in Makati City here in Metro Manila. The tragedy happened before dawn at the Burgundy Corporate Tower on Hilpuyat Avenue. 2 others were injured. The victims were maintenance workers repairing the elevator. Makati police say the elevator from the 38th floor suddenly plunged to the basement. 2 workers were on top of the elevator car while 2 others were waiting on the 6th floor. The victims' bodies have been retrieved while their employer is coordinating with authorities. Management of the building refused to comment on the incident. The investigation is still ongoing. Up next on Newsnight, looks like Manny Pacquiao is not done with boxing just yet. He has an exhibition match set for this year. Plus, we give you a look at the list of songs you can expect in BTS rapper J-Hope's solo album. Keep it here on CNN Philippines.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni bay. SMC San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni bay.
Ito ang RBN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKT 1071 sa inyong mga radyo, ang Radyo Ronda sa Davao.
Recapping today's biggest story, former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died after being shot in Nara, Japan. Some remarkable moments from the late politician. Abe was the first head of state to visit the Philippines during the Duterte administration. He also paid a courtesy call on the former president in his home in Davao City. Sports fans remember Abe for his appearance at the 2016 Rio Olympics. He dressed up as popular video game character Mario for the closing ceremony, where the event was passed to Japan as its next host nation. Abe was the country's longest-serving prime minister. He was 67 years old. Making a buzz in the sports world, tennis icon Rafael Nadal wraps up his Wimbledon campaign early after he tore his abdominal muscle. The Spanish athlete withdrew just a day before the semis, meaning his supposed opponent, Nick Kyrgios, is now finals bound. Cameron Norrie and defending champ Novak Djokovic will go head-to-head for the other finals spot. And boxing legend Manny Pacquiao is set to enter the ring again soon. The sport's only 8-division champion is coming out of retirement to face South Korean YouTube star and martial artist DKU. The exhibition match happens December 10th. And the Filipinos look to stretch their winning streak to 3 with an AFF Women's Championship game versus Malaysia at the Rizal Memorial Stadium in Manila at 7 tonight. Team captain Tane Anis talked to CNN Philippines Sports Desk about keeping their momentum.
This is a really grueling schedule with a game every other day, which a lot of us have not experienced before. But I also think that it's really great to see that we have such a deep roster and that we're able to put in whoever, and everyone has been stepping up and, you know, performing as asked. I think that if we're just able to stay focused in and supporting each other and lifting each other up, that, you know, we'll be fine through those games and hopefully on to the next stage.
The Philippines is currently on top of Group A play after beating Australia and Singapore. Now for BTS ARMYs, we're finding out more about J-Hope's highly anticipated first solo album. The K-pop rapper unveiled the track list for Jack in the Box, composed of 10 titles. Korean website Naver says the album will have 2 lead singles, the first being the recently released rock hit More and Arson, which is yet to arrive. The record drops July 15th. And that is it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia HONTIVEROS for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
This program is brought to you by